Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. If you don't want spoilers, you probably shouldn't read this. I was really disappointed by this movie. I'm normally pretty easy to impress when it comes to movies, I generally like them. But this movie took a giant crap on what I thought was a decent reboot. The plot. Let's start with the mess of a plot. It is absolutely all over the place. Imagine a roller coaster but worse because it builds up really high, and then goes in a straight line with a gradual, ruined orgasm of a drop. At first it starts off as a movie about a group of humanitarians that just really love dinosaurs and are fighting a political movement to kill them all, which seems awfully deep for a movie this shallow. From there, the plot begins to move at an unbelievably fast rate. Suddenly Claire is at a mansion being told by a handsome young man named Mills that there are people on her side ready to fund a huge rescue mission, and the only people that can help are her and Chris Pratt, because he's really good at catching raptors. She goes to convince Chris, who is not moved. A few minutes later though, we see 15 seconds of Chris Pratt watching himself on video with raptors. That was all the convincing he needed. What do you know? 10 minutes into the plot and we're already careening towards the island with reckless abandon. We meet a military-looking guy who we will call Ted because frankly, I don't remember his character's name. They get into an old, dilapidated building. Side note, maybe I don't know how quickly buildings actually age, but at this point it's been like 3 years and somehow everything is like rusted shut, and somehow get this massive tracking program back online inside of maybe 30 seconds. Chris Pratt and a skinny dinosaur vet, Zia, leave to go catch Blue, Chris' main bitch. Also, Ted and some of his dudes go with. Not even 5 minutes later he already found her, and then some fucking idiot shoots her while she's eating him. At first we're all led to believe that this was simply a miscommunication, and Ted is going to get a nice beat down from Chris, but what's this? Ted shoots Chris with animal tranquilizer and reveals that he has double-crossed the team, and is in cahoots with Mills to become rich. Who knew? At this point I'd like to take a break from describing the plot to point out how simultaneously rapid-fire and boringly predictable this all has been. Ted and Mills have received almost no background, no development. We know next to nothing about them whatsoever. Predicting that a more in-depth plot device was incoming was simple, because otherwise the movie would have lasted about 25 minutes. But the audience never gets any of the build-up of wondering where the suspected plot device will come from because it slaps us with its cock before it even comes to mind. I personally don't like that. Some foreshadowing makes the payoff of being right or wrong more interesting. Now everyone is scrambling to get off the island. Apparently Ted already caught all the dinosaurs, because it's erupting. I think I forgot to mention that it's an active volcano, but in the movie they don't let you forget for a goddamn millisecond. So everyone is running, dinosaurs included. Actually, let's take another break for a second. There is a short scene of Chris Pratt waking up from the animal tranquilizer. At first, he's having some difficulty moving. He gradually regains use of his fingers, then his arms, legs, and then his whole body. Wait, what? In about 30 seconds Chris Pratt, who I admit may as well be a Greek god, has shaken off a tranquilizer meant to keep fucking dinosaurs asleep and is now careening down a mountain as fast as he can, swimming in the ocean underwater for several minutes at least, and generally seems perfectly fine. Maybe I'm overestimating how tranquil they would have liked the fucking dinosaurs to be, but it seems like they could have artificially lengthened the amount of time it took Chris Pratt to wake up without changing anything else. Then again, this is a movie about an extinct species being reanimated. I yield, though begrudgingly. Until Claire, Chris Pratt, and skinny computer nerd, who also tagged along to be their hacking wizard. I would have mentioned him but he was largely irrelevant except to type quickly on stuff, get on a truck, jump the truck off a pier, and land it on the still open bay of a transport boat. Let's take another break. I know we just had one, but bear with me. They land this truck onto the boat in the most dramatic way I can think of, second only to having it literally airdropped by helicopters shooting off fireworks, and then nobody looks inside the truck. Ted, the main bad guy at this point, and dozens of his goons left this ragtag group of 3 people to die on an island. Now a truck has been heroically jumped off a pier and nobody is going to check for those 3 people? 3 of the only other people on the goddamn planet who know the sinister plan, and that nobody has actually seen in a few minutes? I call lazy bad guy. So now we're all on the boat. Oh, I forgot to mention that skinny dinosaur vet is on the boat as well. Then again, the movie forgot to mention it as well, though I guess they implied it. She has to save the raptor that was shot by the inconsiderate prick being eaten. They need to do a blood transfusion, and naturally the only dinosaur that is compatible is the T-Rex. Luckily there's one on board, so Chris Pratt and Claire go and draw some of its blood. How the fuck did they just sneak around all the dinosaurs without anyone seeing? Did Ted forget to make a schedule for his goons? Did they forget they had the skinny dinosaur vet on board? Are Chris Pratt and Claire just that fucking sneaky? The goddamn T-Rex starts roaring as loud as it possibly can and nobody looks inside the fucking cage. After Blue gets the T-Rex blood transfusion, she's totally fine and ready to kick some ass. But don't worry, we only have to wait another hour for that to happen on screen. Now we're back in the US, dropping the dinosaurs off at the mansion where Mills is at, and he's planning on selling the dinosaurs to the highest bidder. I'm going to really skim over the story from here, but it's fairly straightforward. Chris Pratt and Claire get put in a cage. They break out. Mills is selling dinosaurs. Mills suddenly decides to sell a not previously mentioned badass dinosaur that chases lasers and is super smart. Not surprisingly, this doesn't go well and the dinosaur eats the fuck out of some people. Boom boom boom, Blue comes and impales the bad dinosaur on a triceratops skull, and a little girl releases the still living dinosaurs out into the California wilderness. That little girl's name? John Hammond's daughter's clone. Henry Wu, the geneticist from all of the Jurassic movies, ensures that there will be another movie by taking some of the vials with dinosaur soup in them with him. Movie over. Small aside, at one point, Claire is stabbed in the leg by a dinosaur. A few minutes later she is somehow climbing scaffolding and just happened to find the laser gun that the dinosaur likes to chase with no forewarning. The characters. I want to talk a little bit about some of the characters more in depth, because they frustrated me too. Mills, his motivation was to make a bunch of money. Simple plot device. But he already had control of millions of dollars at least, and the fake plan he proposed to Claire would have been lucrative as well. Maybe he was just extra greedy and I'm extra naive. Henry Wu, dude, just stop. 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 Why do you keep making dinosaurs? You've been proving for 25 years that you can't control them and you just keep doing it. I get that being in these movies probably makes you a lot of money, but at some point one of the dinosaurs is going to eat you. Old man, the little girl tried to warn you, you old fuck. Chris Pratt and Claire, just fuck already, Jesus tap dancing Christ. They kiss for a split second and then don't mention it ever again. The callbacks. I was further frustrated by the sheer number of little things that were ripped from the original without shame. I think done tastefully and less frequently, those things can be a nice touch and pull on the nostalgia heartstrings. The way it was done in this movie was over the top and frustrating enough that I made a list. A man in a yellow raincoat is eaten by a dinosaur. A character shuts the door on a dinosaur's head. It struggles momentarily before sliding back, leaving the character safe. Characters run to escape stampeding dinosaurs, then jump over a fallen tree for safety. A T-Rex saves the day, then stands over its kill and roars. A raptor ominously clicks its claws on the hard floor. A young girl escapes an attacking dinosaur by slamming down a hard-to-shut sliding door while screaming. A raptor has a difficult time finding humans scuttling around on the floor. A man wearing brown camouflage has his arm eaten off. There were probably others, but I have to rewatch the original again to catch them. The conclusion. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Altogether, I don't think it was a bad movie. I was more disappointed than anything. The visuals are amazing, the dinosaurs are cool, etc. etc. But the plot really didn't feel real to me. It felt like cartoon black/white good/evil, whereas Jurassic Park played much more inside the gray area that was actually interesting. Maybe I'm too nostalgic for Jurassic Park. After all, that movie is a little bit cheesy if you go back and watch it again. But for me at least the cheesiness is covered up by the fact that the plot is coherent and the characters make sense. Maybe my expectations were too high. This happened with the original Jurassic Park movie as well. The first one was good, the sequel was hard to watch. Jurassic World was good, Fallen Kingdom was hard to watch. Maybe I like Michael Crichton a bit too much. Maybe I took this too seriously. Overall, 3/10, it boring on my opinion. See you later.